5 years. $25 million. Orphans and widows waiting for their settlement money. A federal trial date circled on the calendar. Jury selection days away. And then, poof. Settled, sealed, dismissed with prejudice. No trial. No verdict. No public accounting. No answers. Erika Jayne just pulled off the greatest legal disappearing act in Real Housewives history. And once you understand how she did it, the delays, the strategy, the sale, the timing, you'll realize this wasn't luck. This was a 5-year chess game. And Erika won. Here's how she did it. Step by step. Move by move. Because what happened in this case isn't just a celebrity legal story, it's a blueprint for how wealthy people use the legal system to exhaust their opponents, run out the clock, and settle on their terms while the people who were actually harmed get pennies. Step 1. Delay everything. The bankruptcy trustee filed the lawsuit against Erika in 2021, alleging that over $25 million in funds from Tom Girardi's law firm had been transferred to Global LLC, the company that funded Erika's music career, her music videos, her glam squad, and her lifestyle. The trustee's argument was straightforward. The money came from a bankrupt estate. It was transferred to Erika. Under bankruptcy law, it needed to be returned regardless of whether Erika knew the money was stolen. The case should have gone to trial within 2 years. It didn't. Erika's legal team filed motion after motion, continuance after continuance. The trial was originally set for February 10th, 2026. It got pushed to March 10th. Then it got pushed again to May 19th. Every delay cost the trustee more money in legal fees. Every delay drained resources from the bankruptcy estate, the same estate that was supposed to be recovering funds for the victims. Every delay pushed the trial further from the public's attention. And every delay gave Erika's team more time to negotiate behind the scenes. Attorney Ronald Richards called it out publicly at every stage, saying Erika was desperately trying to hold off the trial. He was right. But being right and stopping it are two different things. Step 2, wait for the trustee to get tired. This is the part that most people missed. And it's the key to understanding how Erika walked away. The bankruptcy trustee had been pursuing this case for 5 years. 5 years of depositions, discovery, motions, court appearances, and legal fees. The trustee's job is to recover funds for the creditors in this case, the victims of Tom Girardi's fraud, including the families of the 189 people who died in the Lion Air Flight 610 crash. But the trustee doesn't have unlimited resources. Every dollar spent on legal fees is a dollar that doesn't go back to the victims. And after 5 years of fighting Erika's delay tactic, the trustee's patience and budget was running low. Step 3, the sale. This is where the magic trick happens. In late April 2026, the bankruptcy court approved the sale of the trustee's entire claim against Erika to a third-party financial entity for $2 million. Let that number sink in. The trustee had been pursuing a $25 million claim for 5 years, and they sold it for $2 million. 8 cents on the dollar. The original adversary, the entity representing the actual victims, stepped aside. They took the guaranteed $2 million and handed the rights to pursue the full claim to a corporate buyer whose goal wasn't justice. It was profit. This is the move that changed everything. Because the corporate buyer who purchased the claim has no emotional connection to the victims. They have no obligation to the families of the Lion Air crash. They have no public accountability. They're a financial entity that paid $2 million for the right to recover whatever they can from Erika Jayne. And their calculation is simple. What's the cheapest, fastest way to get a return on our investment? The answer isn't a 10-day federal trial with uncertain outcomes. The answer is a private settlement. Step 4, settle in the dark. On May 21st, 2026, during what was supposed to be a pre-trial conference just days before jury selection was set to begin, attorneys for both sides told the judge the case had been settled. The plaintiff's attorney said, based on multiple conversations with counsel, we have agreed to a settlement. The case was dismissed with prejudice, meaning it can never be refiled. All pending hearings, motions, and the looming trial were wiped from the calendar. The settlement terms are sealed. Nobody knows how much Erika paid. Nobody knows where the money came from. Nobody knows whether the amount was closer to $2 million or $25 million. And here's the brutal math: the corporate buyer only needed to recoup their $2 million investment plus a profit. If Erika settled for $3 million, the buyer doubles their money and walks away happy. If she settled for $5 million, even better. But the victims? The victims whose settlements were allegedly stolen to fund Erika's music videos and $40,000 monthly glam squad? They get whatever's left after the lawyers and the corporate buyer take their cuts. And that number could be devastatingly small. Step 5. Declare victory. Erika's attorney, Evan Borges, immediately issued a statement stressing that Erika does not have legal liability and that the settlement should not be interpreted as an admission of wrongdoing. And technically, he's right. A settlement isn't a verdict. It's a business transaction. But for the families who lost loved ones in a plane crash and waited 5 years for justice, the distinction between settled and found liable is meaningless. Their money is still gone. Tom is in prison. And Erika just walked away from a $25 million lawsuit without ever sitting in front of a jury. Now let's talk about what this strategy actually cost. Not Erika, she's fine. She's still on RHOBH. She's still wearing designer clothes. She's still collecting a Bravo paycheck. The settlement is sealed. Her life continues. Let's talk about what it cost the people who were actually harmed. Tom Girardi embezzled settlement funds from his own clients for years. Among those clients were the families of the 189 people who died when Lion Air Flight 610 crashed into the Java Sea in October 2018. Those families were owed money. That money was allegedly funneled into Global to fund Erika's lifestyle. The trustee spent 5 years trying to get it back. And in the end, the trustees sold the entire claim for $2 million, a fraction of what the victims were owed. That $2 million gets split among all the creditors of the Girardi-Keese bankruptcy estate. The Lion Air families aren't the only creditors. There are burn victims. There are other former clients. There are unpaid vendors. There are operational debts. By the time the $2 million is divided among everyone who is owed money, each individual creditor's share is almost certainly a rounding error compared to what they were originally promised. And here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. The trustee didn't sell the claim because the case was weak. The trustee sold it because the case was expensive. 5 years of litigation against a defendant with deep pockets and aggressive lawyers had drained the estate's resources. Every delay Erika's team engineered made the case more expensive to prosecute. Every motion cost money. Every continuance cost money. And eventually, the math stopped working. The trustee looked at the remaining legal fees required to take the case to trial, compared it to the guaranteed $2 million from the sale, and made a business decision. Not a justice decision, a business decision. That's the trick. That's how Erika Jayne beat a $25 million lawsuit. She didn't prove her innocence. She didn't present evidence that exonerated her. She didn't convince a jury that the money was legitimate. She ran the clock. She drained the budget. She waited for the other side to get exhausted. And then she settled with a corporate middleman for an amount that will never be disclosed, under terms that will never be public, while the actual victims split $2 million among themselves and call it closure. In February 2026, just months before the settlement, Erika publicly revealed for the first time that she was a victim of domestic abuse during her marriage to Tom. The timing was immediately questioned. Richards called it a sympathy play. Others argued abuse victims come forward on their own timeline. Whether the revelation was genuine or strategic, or both, it shifted the narrative at the precise moment Erika needed it most. She went from defendant in a fraud case to survivor of domestic abuse in a single news cycle. And that reframing may have been the final piece of the puzzle that made the settlement possible without destroying her public image. Erika Jayne didn't trick the legal system. She used it exactly as it was designed to be used by people with money, with time, and with lawyers who understand that justice isn't about truth. It's about endurance. Whoever can afford to fight the longest wins. And in this case, the woman who allegedly spent $25 million in stolen money could afford to fight longer than the people it was stolen from. Tom Girardi is serving 87 months in federal prison. His victims are splitting $2 million. And Erika Jayne is filming season 16 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That's not justice. That's the system working exactly the way it was built to work. And it should make you furious. Drop a comment and let us know, do you think Erika got away with it? Like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.